Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome on behalf of Rahul Education. From Srimati Tiwari College of Architecture, I'm pleased to welcome all of you for this session of Rubaru. This is a talk series which will be informing you about the career prospects in architecture. To quickly tell you about Rahul Education, um, which has it has started in 1992, and now it has five educational societies registered under it and 54 institutions. In almost 30 years, it has spread its wings to Thane, Palghar, and Chandauli district of Uttar Pradesh. With an amalgamation of institutions with varied and allied subjects of law and hotel management and degree junior colleges, we are a bundle of allied subjects together. This Rubru session is specifically focusing on the course of architecture, and Srimati Tiwari College of Architecture is in its fifth year right now, which the first year which we would be graduating, our students would be graduating. So we are here with a very eminent guest and personality, Dr. Vandana Sehgal. She is from Lucknow, and she is rather, a member of Council of Architecture, New Delhi. I'm really pleased to have Vandana ma'am here because she is another enthusiast. And when I would introduce you to her, you will come to know what I mean by uh, overall or a short introduction for what an architecture profession holds for you. The entire career till now of Vandana ma'am has been an amalgamation of these wonderful aspects that an architecture profession can provide you. So let me introduce to you Dr. Vandana Sehgal. Uh, Vandana ma'am, as I said, is not only an academician, but she is being an architect, of course, and an artist too. With 24 years as an academician, she is currently the principal and dean of Faculty of Architecture and Planning, Lucknow. With a PG degree in her thesis, which was titled Abstract Ideas in Architecture, she writes regularly in architectural journals. So she is a voracious uh, writer, students, and she has written on various topics of pedagogy and practical design issues. As I told you, she's an artist too, and she has done some amazing performances in her solo and group performances also. To name a few, in her solo performances as an artist are Between the Spaces, Ramayan, and so many more to add. She has painted illustrations for reputed authors and publishers and has curated many exhibitions like White on White, Sanctums, etc. Extremely inclined to her architecture profession, she's associated with design projects, many design projects. I mean, I cannot count so many now, right now, but to mention a few, she has been at many state level projects. She has documented and done conservation and adaptive reuse of, uh, of many historical buildings like Chhatar Manzil and Lal Baradari at Lucknow. In association with private projects like hotels, memorials, houses, and interiors, she has documented many areas of Varanasi under her under the government initiative and Ru-Urban scheme of GOI. There is a lot more that can go on and on for Dr. Vandana Sehgal, but I suppose it is time that we ask her to speak to our aspirants, to our students who are of 11th standard and 12th standard, who would look at architecture course with a totally different perspective when Vandana madam would be presenting her presentation. So we cordially invite you, Dr. Vandana Sehgal, on this platform of Rahul Education Group, and we request you to just present and show your expertise to our aspirants of 11th standard.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
So I think there is some problem with my visual, but never mind. I'll share the screen with the presentation. Okay, it's okay if they don't see me. But good morning, everybody, and I am hoping that today whatever I share with you inspires you, and maybe puts a little a bit of excitement in your in you, so that you start thinking about this profession, and you take it up in the near future also. So people keep asking, now of course there is a lot of awareness about what an architect does, what is architecture. I grew up in a town called Chandigarh, if you're aware of that. It's a planned town. It was planned by Corbusier, and since I was born and brought up in that town, I knew what architecture is, and like I think it was instinctive, and we were part of that drama of urbanscape, and so I never even questioned about it, and I knew what an architect does. My nana was an architect, and so it was like I never even imagined that anybody doesn't know what an architect does. But then I came to UP after my post graduation, and I realized that people really don't know what this is. I'm talking about 25 years back. People didn't even know what an architect does. So they were more aware of what an engineer does. So but recently I would like to also share that this in our last admissions last year, there were our college is a very prestigious college in Lucknow, and it's a very, very old college. So people aspire to be in this college. And one boy, he came up, and he was from a very poor background, and he told me that, ma'am, I cannot pay the fees today. So I asked him that where is he from, and he was from a very small town from Uttar Pradesh. And I just asked him that, why do you want to become? He says, I really wanted to become an architect, but and then he gave the circumstances that how his brother has died and father is like without work. And so I asked him that, but why does he want to? I just wanted to know that this boy from a small town, does he know what an architect does? And I asked him that, why do you want to become an architect? Why don't you become an engineer? And he amazed me with his answer, and he says, ma'am, engineer only builds, and architect की बात और है मैम, वो ड्रीम करता है, and I was so amazed, and I was really taken in, and I realized that yes, now the students know what architecture is, and definitely I think I'm talking to one of the more fortunate ones today, and they of course they have a very good background, and they understand what professions are and what an architect does. So I am taking that with me, and I'll take you through a very small presentation which I have made for you. This is the first time I'm talking to aspirants. I'm since 25 years, I've been talking to students who I know they are into architecture, and they have to make it make it good in that, So this is the first time I'm kind of telling you what architecture is all about, and it's a very small orientation. I hope you will enjoy it, because I have really enjoyed making it for you, and just giving you a glimpse of what architect does and what is architecture. So just bear with me. I'll share my screen with you. Yeah. So how do I share the screen?
Sure, ma'am. That was a wonderful start, and I'm definite they are keen to understand the aspects.
So how do I? So is it coming? No. Can you see my screen?
Yes, very much, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll put it on the full screen. Okay. So today we'll talk of architecture and its career prospects and its eligibility, that how do you get into this course? Okay. So what is architecture? So there are hundreds of definitions that you see of architecture, and if you read, Google it, there'll be many explanations for it. But it's basically very difficult to explain what exactly it is. So architecture is a discipline that sits between art, culture, and technology. It's not pure art, it's not a pure artist's dream, but because it is fired by the logic of making it happen in reality on ground. So there is a lot of technology involved, but at the same time there is a lot of cultural background, traditions, history, that is involved, while maybe making that or constructing that. So it's like a amalgamation of lot of fields. So it's kind of people sometimes say it's mother of all arts. So it's rightly said, because it incorporates all the finer aspects of the world, and of course all the best technology of the world at the same time. Okay, so it's like, so you have to find your niche where you fit in, but you have to have little bit of everything, and something better of one part. Okay, so we will realize that once I go through the whole presentation. And it reflects, architecture reflects the spirit of the age. For example, we say they were medieval times, and it was a medieval town. So how do you rate that medieval? It, first of all, you rate it through the architecture of that place. Why do you love to go to Venice? Why do you love to go and see these medieval towns in Italy? So they kind of transfer you to an era which was somewhere back in history, but at the same time it also reflects through architecture, through that urban scape. You enjoy that era. Okay, so it reflects a kind of a spirit of the age. Why do you like New York, Manhattan? Because it reflects this modernity, it through its architecture. So architecture is something so palpable. It's so it's just there for you to see. So an architect is behind all this that happens, this kind of setting where human life unfolds. And it has been doing through the ages. I teach primitive architecture. It's wrongly called primitive architecture, because I think human being was, with the limited means, he was very, very advanced, and he had the technology to do a lot of things. So if you see Stonehenge, if you see the pyramids, you realize that they are still there. The humans are not there, but the setting they created is there. So architecture is much more, it is much more tangible. It is much more, there for you to feel that what this world is and what earth has gone through. Okay. So as an architecture student, you think about, very, very simply, I've put this, you think about the, buildings of the future, how to use old buildings in new ways, and the new types of buildings people will need all over the world. So it's a very, very basic thing that, architect primarily is associated with the habitat, and beyond the habitat is like where he performs, and where he enjoys, where, so he's basically making a setting for human being. Okay, so it's basically a very, very important part of your life. So with this, I kind of a hazy kind of a definition. Let's move ahead. So today I'll just show you that how what architects or known architects, few of them have said about architecture. Okay, so there's this architect called Frank Gehry. Maybe you've heard about him, or seen his buildings when you've gone abroad. And he makes this very gravity defying and logic defying buildings, which kind of tickle you, and you think, oh my God, what has he done? So he says that architecture should speak of its time and place, but yearn for timelessness. Okay, so it's a beautiful, beautiful saying about architecture. That is what I've been saying in all this while, that architecture is kind of timelessness in a way that you might not be there, but the buildings or the towns, they stay much more than you do. Okay, so this is the concert hall in Los Angeles that he has made with this amazing technique of his, that he kind of this is his signature. He makes these very, very flowing kind of surfaces, and inside he kind of creates a space which kind of excites a human being's senses. This is from my city, Chandigarh, and it was made by Corbusier, who was the father of modernity. He kind of got this new aspect to building design in his time. And he said that architecture is the learned game, correct and magnificent of forms assembled in the light. He was very fascinated with how sun kind of plays with the surfaces of the buildings. And, this is the High Court of Chandigarh, and how he played with the colors, and how he kind of played with form, almost sculptural. And he kind of introduced reinforced cement concrete in a very, very big way in India. And the contemporary architects like Doshi, Tadawando and all, they used to come and see Chandigarh being made, and how this architect called Corbusier was using this new material, this fascinating material, which is almost a monolith, in his designs, in his buildings. So architecture basically is kind of informed by the culture, definitely, as I've told you, but also by the technology, by material, by ideas, okay, and by the philosophy of the nation, or the culture, or so it's an amalgamation of lot of things. Okay, so this is Reichstag in Germany. So if you see this bottom photograph, which is an aerial photograph of the Parliament of in Berlin, and so Norman Foster was given this this work of extension of this Parliament. And so it was a traditional building, and what he did was he introduced this beautiful glass dome on the top, which has a ramp that you can walk up to. And the beauty about it is that he said that in a democracy, he kind of signified this new democratic setup of a government, that every person has a right to be part of the Parliament sitting, and there should be a transparency. So he made this beautiful transparent kind of a dome on it, where people can notionally watch what is happening below. So he says that as an architect, you design for the present with the awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown. So he's basically talking of again timelines, and how he has kind of innovated or readapted this traditional Parliament building and converted it into this modern kind of a place where people are involved and are part of the Parliament, in the Parliament. So this is Mies van der Rohe. He's again one of the pioneers of modern thought. And he says that we should attempt to make nature, houses, and human beings together in higher unity. And this is his Transworth house, where he it's called a glass box. He reinvented what a home can be. So it's a very, very different attitude from many people, and you'll realize that as many architects you study, you will realize that everybody has their own take on architecture and how they have contributed in a very, very big way. So this is Louis Barragan, and he is Mexican, and he does these beautiful colored buildings, and he says any architectural work that doesn't express serenity is an error. So, beauty, serenity, all this is excitement. So all these come with architecture, because as architect, you want to, feel the kind of a space that is around, to create this space which others can feel. So you are like a director of a film, where in a film, of course, it's a contained 3-hour thing. The time is fixed, and the sequence is fixed, and the background music is fixed, and everything is fixed. Okay, so a lot of things are fixed in a film, but in this, it's a life's drama. Where a person, if I go in this building, I might perceive it in a very, very different way, whereas somebody else goes, he or she might perceive it very, very differently. But the architect might have a different intention. But the thing is that there is a director who has somehow directed you to, kind of feel the space in a particular way. So Louis Barragan uses these bright colors, which are, again, I feel a very cultural kind of a background that he comes from, and he uses this in a very, very positive way in his works. So as an architect, I think what's so beautiful about this profession is that you can change the world, you can make an impact through your design. I think as a doctor, you make an impact by saving the person. Okay, you give life. But as an architect, the world is given, and you can make a very, very little difference, or a very large difference, through your design philosophy, through what you create in this world. Okay, so I'll just take you through works of very few architects from India who have been trying to do their bit. There are many, many more, but I just picked up, thematically, that how architects are kind of impacting the world and making this world a better place in their own way. Okay. So when we start talking of Indian architecture, we cannot not talk of Bivir Doshi, Balkrishna Doshi. So he was a disciple of Corbusier, and so he, in fact, he is a very, very long journey. You must have just heard that he's got the Pritzker Prize, he's got Padam Bhushan. He's a very, very celebrated architect. And this is on one side is Sangat. The first photo is of Sangat, which is his office. And he has used the Indian idiom for the climatic response of a building in Ahmedabad, and it's a very, very beautiful space that he has created for his office. And this is just below this, you can see his impression of that, his painting. He does these paintings, and so his impression of that building. Okay, he has done a range of work from I think I am Bangalore to a lot of Vidyadhar Nagar, and so, but I have taken these two. This is his own office, Aranya, own office, Sangat, And the second two photographs are from a small house, from a very old housing project that he did as a low cost, this thing called Aranya. Okay, and what he did was he had this image that how uh, a person is all people, irrespective of what background they come from, they deserve to live hygienically and in a better kind of an environment. So he created Aranya, where he made the basic infrastructure for every person or every plot, and he gave a basic design elements. He gave that basic steps to go up, and he said that as and when people have money, they will make their own decision and they will make their own extensions. And now after years, Aranya is almost fully occupied, and people are talking about it, that there is a freedom and control at the same time, and at the same time there is equity, that everybody is getting whatever is I think should be given to every respectable citizen of a country. So I think his work ranges from many things, and what I think the maximum credit which goes to him is that he forged a spirit of Indian architecture. Indian architecture, before, in the 60s, was kind of whatever was we got from Europe, and we were really influenced by the European idiom of architecture. And because we didn't have many schools, and he started this Center for Environment in Ahmedabad. It's called CEPT, and he imparted education. He was an amazing educator, and so he actually, he is. This is a small kind of this thing which was given to him by the Pritzker Prize people, that they say over the years, Doshi has created an architecture that is serious, never flashy, or a follower of trend, with a deep sense of responsibility and desire to contribute to his country and its people through high quality, authentic architecture. He has created projects for public administration and utilities, education, cultural institutions, residences for private people. Doshi is acutely aware of the context in which his buildings are located. His solutions take into account the social, environmental, and economic dimensions, and therefore his architecture is totally engaged with sustainability. And he himself says that my works are an extension of my life, philosophy, and dreams, trying to create treasury of architectural spirit. So it's basically, he has created this kind of idiom that we now say, okay, this is Indian modern architecture. Okay, so he took the legacy of Corbusier forward, and he has made a own niche, in the world, where he has created this Indianness in the architecture. So we owe a lot to him, and he has actually, forged a new spirit in India. Laurie Baker also is quite famous, and he had this passion of, creating kind of low cost and creating buildings which didn't have which were not too expensive. He says, why don't we create buildings which are very relevant in the climatic zone or in the material zone where they are, and we should use the materials which we get around. So in Kerala, he actually made a lot of brick buildings, and he created beauty out of that simple brick. And in Rajasthan, he created out of stone. So he says that vernacular architecture is the answer to all the problems, and he actually took this really forward. So that was his area, that he made this low cost popular, so much so that very rich people actually got houses made from him. But it was this last photo, you can see that he's working with the masons. He said that they know better, and you should work with better detailing with them. you can create much better. So he actually used to sketch on the site and work with the material and create details there and then, okay, and yet create beautiful buildings. Chitra Vishwanathan is very, very contemporary. She's young. She's runs this biome firm, and she works with compacted earth. She says, why can't we use mud, with a little bit of cement, and she uses those kind of bricks in her work, and creates very, very low energy consumption buildings, and she works with environment a lot, and so she has made that her mission. And if you Google her, you'll find many, many projects of hers, and she has actually made environment her priority. So there are many architects like that who are working on saving energy, because energy is very, very precious. So this is this, and yet, what I'm trying to tell you is, and yet creating beauty, yet creating beautiful spaces, but at some kind of a passion to save on energy, maybe. So this is by Sachin and Payal Rastogi. It's in Gurgaon. They made a boys hostel block for some complex, and so just by using these brick jalis and the passive controls, they have kind of created spaces which use very, very low energy. And then there's a Pune project done by Christopher Charles, and so it's also on it uses energy which is made in the campus or a little bit outside, which they themselves create. Okay, it's by for Suzlon on One Earth. And so there are architects who are working in this field, and they are actually making an impact and doing their bit, to preserve the earth. Then there are many architects who are preserving the past, that these are these two projects which I have taken, which have been done. This Humayun's tomb was done by Aga Khan, and so you can see the difference. You can see the Sundar Burj, which is in Sundar Nursery, which they have renovated totally now. And so how they have renovated it, how they've renovated every part of the Humayun's tomb. So Humayun's tomb is a very big complex, which also has the Nizamuddin area. So they are also doing it's a very holistic project. They are upgrading the level of people also in the Nizamuddin Basti. And apart from, creating this Humayun's tomb as it was, through research, through techniques, they have really renovated this Humayun's tomb. And then you must have heard of the Amritsar street, and how they have created a very, very beautiful environment to walk to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. And a lot of architects have worked on this also. So it's basically architects have chosen their area where they can make a mark and make this environment a better kind of environment. So how do we become architect? Okay, so to take admission in any architecture college, one has to go through the NATA, which is the National Aptitude Test in Architecture. Okay, this I think most of us know, but I will just go through very, very briefly what NATA means. So NATA measures the aptitude of an applicant for a specific field of study, that is architecture. Okay, through the assessment of cognitive skills. We'll go through it one by one. Okay, visual perception, aesthetic sensitivity test, logical reasoning, critical thinking ability, and some general knowledge. Okay, besides the learning that you have acquired over the past years. Okay, so basically cognitive skills is basically also called, they are called cognitive functions, cognitive abilities, or cognitive capacities. Okay, they are brain-based skills which are needed in acquisition of knowledge, that how you acquire knowledge. Okay, manipulation of information and reasoning. Okay, so whenever somebody tells you anything, when you're taught something, or even if you are traveling through somewhere, your brain assimilates it, perceives things, and then it remembers, it memorizes things, and it sorts it out. There are various, it does it automatically, you don't have to do much in it, but it kind of comprehends what is around, comprehends what is being told, comprehends what you read, and then whenever there is a need, it applies to that knowledge to various ideas, analyzes it, that okay, this can be used here, this cannot be used here, evaluates it, and sometimes creates something very new based on that knowledge. Okay, so these cognitive skills which most of us have, and we can sharpen them by doing some exercises. It's not very difficult. Okay, then we also, visual perception is very important in architecture, because it's the ability to perceive our surroundings, and through eyes, and so it can be colors, patterns, structures, so these we use in our mind. Okay, we comprehend, and we kind of uh, um, make sense out of them. They give us kind of tangible and intangible kind of ideas. Okay, so through this is our main tool for absorption, for perception of the world. Okay, so these two are very, very important. So, and on the side you can see that how visual perception, just by seeing a kind of a figure, you can make out what it is trying to say. Okay, so it's basically, the brain does that also through the eyes. So then there is aesthetic sensitivity, which is very, very important. Aesthetics is something, is like ability to appreciate beauty around us, appreciate compositions, and to judge, an artistic merit, in, or an artistic or an aesthetic value, So if the first this thing, you can see that, okay, this is better or this is better, which is more balanced, which is more symmetrical, so all these kind of the complexity, symmetry, contour, balance, these are features of the aesthetic sensitivity, which is also judged, through the NATA test. And then there is logical reasoning, which are basically, which kind of see the, how you can analyze at a logical level. Okay, that how do you come to a correct solution by logically comprehending a kind of a composition or situation, and how you kind of attempt that. So your mind kind of logical says, okay, this is this, so this is this, so it must be this, here this has to come, logically this should be here. Okay, something like that. And then there is critical thinking. It is the ability to think clearly and rationally about what to do and what to believe. So it may be, it kind of has a lot of connections are given to you, and then you have to kind of analyze, through reasoning, through argumentative and analysis, through thinking of, okay, if this is this, then how do I kind of prove that this is this. Okay, and then there is likelihood analysis. Okay, is this possible or not possible, and then there's this decision making or problem solving that you create. So there are lots of kind of questions that are there, which you have to attempt, and which is not very difficult. But of course, it kind of tells us the aptitude that you have, and tells you your aptitude, that can you think out of the box, can you. So because architecture is basically about thinking out of the box, it is not about just a kind of a, it's not vertical kind of thinking. You are kind of using a lateral thinking while doing architecture or design. You are kind of so what is the difference between vertical thinking and, so vertical thinking is a very logical kind of a thinking, that you are said that, okay, prove this theorem. Okay, and you are proving through steps, that you're proving that, okay, this is right, and that is what was to be proved, and there are steps to go through it, and you go through it. So that is kind of vertical thinking. Okay, so you're logically going through it and then proving it. Okay, but lateral thinking is, you are given some kind of facts. Okay, so you kind of kind of rearrange those facts and try and create something new, to uh, and yet solve the problem. Okay, so that is lateral thinking, and that is what is needed in architecture, and that is why this test of NATA happens, to test your aptitude or the ability to gather all this. So there is this basic, on the NATA website, you will see that basic syllabus is given, where a lot of these diagrammatic reasoning, numerical reasoning, verbal reasoning, inductive reasoning, situational judgment, logical reasoning, abstract reasoning, all these are judged, and there are a lot of other topics that are covered, like color theory, like visual perception, graphics, vocabulary, your general knowledge, your concepts of mathematics, physics, geometry, language, and of course, principles of design. So all these are, so NATA is kind of a mixture of all that. There are 75 questions and you have to answer those. So that's that for you. And I think a lot of information is already on the net, and you can go through it for this test. So once you get through this in an architecture school, what do you expect? You must be wondering, what is taught to architects, and it's nothing like what you expect, actually, and and how should you be in a school, what should you do in a school? So I'll just take you through, what we really do in an architecture school. So basically, we have a very holistic approach, as I already told you. There are these cognitive mental skills, and it just has to be assimilated with the knowledge, so that is imparted, of course. And then there is affective kind of approach, which is that the emotional strength, the sensitivity or attitude to culture, to, so all that is also built up, in a human being, which is very, very important. And then the psychomotor, the manual, the dexterous ability, or the skills to, work with your hands, to work with models, to work with sketches, to work. So that is very, very important. Okay, so all these three kind of combine to give you a very, very wholesome kind of an architectural education. So I'll just share some very, very small exercises of early times, not the senior ones, but how do we start teaching, So, we kind of, it's a very small exercise of, from part to whole. So very small photo is divided into so many squares, and everybody is given one square or rectangle each, and they have to, kind of just blow it up, and, we make a huge collage. So one realizes that from that one small kind of a bit to the whole part, how the mind keeps stretching to the whole and then comes back to your own part, So it kind of gives you that ability to think like that. And then to get a sense of space, we do a lot of sketching exercises. We cut a lot of papayas and sketch them, because it gives a special kind of a thing inside. And and then we kind of walk in the market and measure it through steps, through our palms, and do these collages, and just to get a sense of scale, that how much is will this space be, how much will this distance from where I'm sitting to the gate will be, So that is very, very important. This measurement in your own mind, the scale in your own mind is very, very important for every architect. And then this learning is through a lot of hard work, lot of model making. And so this is, maybe learning style, scale, construction through history itself, So how we make models for almost hundreds of buildings, to understand that what was the kind of construction detailing, how did they come up with this kind of system, and what is the scale they created, how did the light come in, So all this bias, we don't see history as history in terms of dates. We see history in terms of material, in terms of ideas, in terms of the cultural aspects at that time, in technology at that time, So one goes through all that, but the teaching, the way of imparting, the way of learning is very, very different in architects. So we understand space through drawings, through models, and there are these very childlike exercises that are done in the early years. And to understand this basic medium that we talk of space, that how the space stretches, how the space can be molded, how this space can be made more exciting. Okay, so this doesn't come in a day. This comes in hours and hours of studio. So studio is very, very important in architecture. We have to be in the studio forever. We have to work on our desks forever. So it's not about just learning, mugging, and appearing in the exams. It is about what you do in the whole semester, what you do in the class every day. So that is most important, because the more you sit on your desk, the more you sketch, the more you draw, the more you kind of experiment. So you have to master all this. So that only comes when you spend hours and hours in the studio. So it might be backbreaking, but it's so exciting. It is so wondrous. It's a very, very different kind of a creative world, absolutely different from any other profession which you might choose. Sketching is another thing. You can sketch anywhere. You have to have a sketchbook. Is one of the most important companions of an architect. So you have to sketch your ideas. You have to sketch what you see. You have to sketch just to make yourself imagine that what this would be all about. So to get your ideas, to get your just to move your hands more dexterously, you have to really sketch. Because I think I really believe that the mind is connected to the hands the most, in a most direct way. So whatever your idea comes, if you sketch it immediately, it will be there. You can take it forward from there. So I always tell my students that sketching is very, very important. And then, of course, we have to build, we have to be on the site, we have to be part of, that dexterous ability has to be, worked upon. You have to do it all yourself. You have to make it yourself, to understand, to make the mason understand what you want, how your ideas can come to life. Okay. So basically, the syllabus in architecture is divided into maybe 4 or 5 parts, which I have done for your convenience. So there are these core subjects of architecture design, where we teach from the basic product design to maybe designing a campus in a city and the parts of a city, in these 5 years. So along with that, there's a construction studio which teaches you how to design detailing that whatever you've designed in your design class, how do you detail that out for the contractor on the site to make it. So you have to make it into detailed drawings, that how will this door be fixed, what will be the detailing of this window which is sliding. Okay, how will the kitchen exhaust work, so all that is very, very humdrum, but it is very important, and it goes parallel with your imagination. So construction and material studio is there, and then there's a structure studio, that how will this whole thing stand, which is a major thing. So these 3 are the core subjects, which are substantiated by skills like graphics, sketching, model making, drawing, computer software, researching, so all these skills are part of the architectural education. Then services like plumbing, electrical, sanitation, surveying, acoustics, firefighting, I mean, the works, all of them have to be taught to you, and so that they also go hand in hand. Humanities like sociology, ecology, environment, economics, history, theory, philosophy, all have to be, they are very, very important part, and they also are taught to you. Then, of course, in the higher classes, and some 1 or 2 in the lower classes, you are lower years, you do electives like sustainable architecture, town planning, interior design, landscape management, conservation, universal design, coding. Coding is very important, because you actually now there are softwares which through which you can actually design also, so we are going into another world, and so so it keeps changing because the world is changing, and vice versa. Architecture informs the world, and the world informs architecture. So everything, this is kind of the basic model of the syllabus, and we kind of innovate or include that only. Okay, so what do you do in an architecture school? So basically, as a student, you go to class regularly, ask questions, enjoy every new project that is there, create, don't be competitive. In architecture, you don't have to be, there is no one-upmanship. It's your design, that's his design, learn together, build network, persevere. There might be times when the teachers are like, what have you done? And you might be dejected because you've worked for 10 days on that design. And then you come back again, no, I'll think about it differently now. Let me use this idea now. Okay, so you have to be really, really, you have to persevere very, very hard. And then you have to be self-reliant. You teach yourself, read a lot, write a lot, sketch a lot, travel, because through travel you can see a lot of things and imbibe a lot of things, and perceive a lot of things. Then to organize yourself, catalog your work, and research yourself. So this is what you can do yourself. And stay busy, be sane and healthy, play, make friends, be patient. A lot of patience is needed in architecture. So this is what you do as a architecture student. So many people then ask me, then what after doing architecture? What do we do? What do we do after graduation? Well, how much money will we get? So basically, I think there are many ways one can go. So most people join an architecture firm, smaller firm that you might be impressed by, and you want to learn and imbibe from that person. Okay, so for 1 or 2 years, people do that also. They go and join a firm so that they can learn from that person. If they're impressed with that person and the person is ready to take you on as in his office or her office, one can join that. So that is one way to go. One can join a bigger consultancy firm, and there are now a lot of consultancy firms which are bigger. The emoluments are a little more in that, but maybe the learning is of a different kind, and there is not some personal kind of mentoring is not there in that. And or you can start on your own. The startup way is the most common way I've seen, that students would like to start their own small firm and then take it from there. So to begin with, you might not earn too much. There might be just one interior or two interiors, maybe one house, small house, or one small school. But then you build up from there, and you make your philosophy from there, that what will you as an architect, what will be your imprint. So most of the people do that. 50% of the people start there on their own. Many people, about 1/10 of them, go for higher studies in the areas of design. So design, I mean landscape design, interior design, furniture design, product design. They can be like any amount, any way you can go. Then there is this software design. You'll be surprised how many architect graduates go into software designing. And I used to wonder earlier that what do they do when we didn't even have computers. Still, many architects were going into software design. And then one day I asked this professor from IIT Mumbai, where a lot of our students were going, and he said, he met me somewhere, and he says, ma'am, a lot of students from your college come to my department. And I said, yes, I wonder what they do, because they don't know software. We have never taught them software. And he says, you'll be surprised, if we have 10 on the list and 3 are architects, we take those 3 immediately, because architecture course is the only course where you are taught to think out of the box, where you are not taught 2 + 2 is 4. You're taught to plus 5 minus 4 divided by 2, something like that. You will come up with some kind of out of the box ideas that we need, and to think creatively. That is what we need in software design. And I was like, it was a revelation to me, but I believe our students of architecture do remarkably well in software design. Then planning is one major field that is coming up in a very, very big way. People do masters in planning, urban and regional planning, rural planning, which has become a major area of specialization, and many people go into that. And management, people are going into management, and then fine arts, where students kind of become who are more artistic in nature, take up installation art or graphic arts, or so sky is in between all these. There are so many avenues where students go. Okay. And when it comes to kind of payment of the architect, so joining is between 3 to 6 lakhs to begin with, and later on, I think like any profession, after about 4 or 5 years of slogging, one can reach a comfortable position, and the consultancy firms are much better, but but people who start on their own, their trajectory is much more phenomenal. And people also start up on their own after doing masters also, because they have a little bit of specialization, and they have a kind of a path what to tread on, so it's a kind of a different way, everybody has their own kind of idea of what to do, in their future. So that was about architecture. But in the end, I would like to just tell you that once you join architecture, it kind of changes your actually changes your DNA. You start thinking, or start kind of approaching life in a very, very different format. Your thinking process changes, and I actually think you become a different person. So that's what that was from me. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you, if there are any. Thank you so much for hearing me, and I can go on and on about architecture, but
that was wonderful. Absolutely, Vandana ma'am. The way you have taken these students and through the entire, what I call, it was such a huge aspect that you have concised and presented so wonderfully. There were many questions which I was noting down, the students were asking, but I suppose as your slides went on passing by, the majority of things went on being answered, and there are a few which I would like to ask you on behalf of the students. One is that, do you think anyone who is interested in creative art, or, he meant in any form of creation, can take up architecture course?
Yeah, because till now, physics, chemistry, and maths is important. You should have that. It is an eligibility criteria. So not anyone can till now take it up, but maybe in the new education policy later on, one might see changes. But till now, you have to have a science background, that is physics, chemistry, and mathematics, to take up architecture. Just a creative background is not enough because of our system.
Yeah, because of our system, that's true.
Yes.
Let's hope that we open up for many more aspirants who are intending to join. And
Yes, I am also hoping. Yes.
Yeah. There is one more question who says that if it is a 5-year course, Is there any chance of specialization in early years? I suppose there was some
Yes,
information
yes.
about. Yeah.
Actually, while doing the semesters, there is hardly any time, because I think
Yeah.
all architecture students complain that they don't have time, because they're so overloaded and their work is so much and there's so much submissions that they have to do. But the holidays are one thing. You can do these smaller courses online, or maybe go to some firm, because many students
Yeah.
of mine go to Auroville, for example. They have some kind of very beautiful construction kind of
Absolutely.
workshop, and so there are these lot of workshops that are happening, which one can join. But besides that, there's a 6 months mandatory training, practical
Yes.
training, which is part of the curriculum, which you have to go to an office and learn. So if you are impressed, for example, if you're impressed with landscape architecture, you can join a landscape firm which primarily takes up landscape projects, and be part of it for 6 months or 3.5 months to 4 months, which whatever the college syllabus says, and see what happens there, and maybe take it up from there then, you know.
Perfect. Perfect.
Hmm.
There is one last question which I think the student who is already into architecture is asking. He's saying that there was a news about an exit option after 3 years. Do you think that works for the current students or the coming batch? How will it go?
I think it depends on the university per se, because the university, every university has to take this decision of giving a exit degree, because then
Mhm.
the student should have a degree, So
Yeah.
some universities after third year give a BSc in building materials or something like that, or
Mhm.
building science. I think I remember when I was in Chandigarh College, then we had this option. And after third year we could get a bachelor's degree, or BSc
Yeah.
in
Obviously.
building science or something like that. So it depends on the university, because the council will not be bothered with it, because he will not, or she will be not an architect. So unless a person is a full-fledged architect, the council is not really concerned with it, really.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Right, right. Ma'am, there are many questions, and I suppose all of them have been answered in whatever slides you presented. In what would be the subjects and how would the course go ahead? What are the future career prospects after doing architecture? What is the cost that is in, or what is the payment that an architect gets, and whether they can go into masters for different varied fields. So I suppose all that was very well put up and conveyed to the students. Uh, on this note, ma'am, I would really like to thank you from the
Thank you
entire
so much.
fraternity and on
I think
behalf.
it was a pleasure, and I hope at least few of them would be enthused after
Oh,
my talk,
definitely,
because
definitely,
I
ma'am.
am very enthused when I talk of architecture, and
Yes,
it was really a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you
thank
so much.
you. Thanks a lot, Vandana, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Yogesh, we can now connect to our next participant, that is uh, the NATA classes, which Vandana ma'am spoke to you all about, that there is a NATA eligibility criteria. Yeah, there is a NATA exam which you have to give for uh, covering up or for clearing the basic parameter after your 12th science examinations. Now, this parameter, as she had mentioned in a slide, had a lot of aspects which you need to look at. And there are certain pioneer classes who have been dealing with these aspects and teaching students as to how to navigate through and sail through the NATA exams. So I'm pleased to invite Rupa Soni ma'am, who is a pioneer mentor and tutor of Silica classes. And I would request her to come and just brief her about how do you uh, guide students in order to crack the NATA uh, classes, NATA examinations that become the very base soul of getting admission into architecture, because it is 50-50% criteria of passing the 12th science exam as well as passing in NATA. So I would now welcome Rupa ma'am and ask her to please uh, do a presentation for the same. Has Rupa ma'am joined? Yogesh? Can we join Rupa Soni ma'am? Hello ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, yeah. Oh yes. Yes, good to see you on the video.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. So we welcome you, ma'am, on Rahul Education Group. And I would request you to just enlighten our students with how they are supposed to go ahead with the base parameter of the NATA examinations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Tara. So, Rupali ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, should I start with the...
Yeah, of course. You can start with the presentation. Yeah.
So, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Rupa from Silica. So, today's session will be for architecture, paper pattern, career scope, and what are the colleges about everything. Okay. So let me introduce first Silica. Silica is from last 19 years से नाटा preparation and career design career guidance में है. Okay. So these are the 8 disciplines in architecture. So basically, architecture is a 5 years program, which is called BArch. So these are the disciplines for master's level. But you can definitely get idea in undergraduate level. If you want to do any master's program, so you can pick one subject as a master's program. Okay. So interior designing, landscape design, urban planning, green architecture, exhibition space designing, conservation and restoration, construction management, and transport planning. Okay. So first part we will see interior designing. So interior designing is all about space, beautiful public places and furniture. Landscape designing is basically beautify the city. So gardens, resorts and commercial spaces, everything is under landscape design. Green architecture is all about using natural resources or elements. Okay. So for example, this is a solar panel. तो solar panel के लिए you need a structure. So ये structure जो है वो architect के help से design होता है. Exhibition space designing. So exhibition space designing means first part is museum displays or galleries or trade exhibitions or film set designing भी you can create. Urban designing and town planning. So this is all about government project, more of government projects. So in Mumbai, we have best example of Mahada or any township you can create with government. Conservation and restoration. This is all about to maintain the historical monuments, okay, or preserve. Means कि जैसे ताज और गेटवे ऑफ इंडिया को रीमेंटेन करना है उनकी ग्लोरी, तो conservation restoration is a subject. Construction management, building design and planning. Transport planning. Transport planning means कि again architect is helping to solve the current problems of traffic problem. जैसे हाईवेज है, ब्रिजेस है, फ्लाईओवर्स है, उसके लिए भी आर्किटेक्ट से हेल्प होता है. मतलब मुंबई में बेस्ट एग्जांपल अगेन मेट्रो इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल. So these are the career options, opportunities. You can become structural engineer or interior designer, production designer, construction inspector or architecture photographer, art director, housing consultant. So in short, architecture is not only building designing part. You're seeing there are so many options available. Okay. So basically architect is a 5 years program and 2 years for masters. So we will see what are the eligibility criteria, top colleges and paper pattern. So this is eligibility criteria. Compulsory students need to prepare for NATA, National Aptitude Test of Architecture. Compulsory आपको देना पड़ेगा. Joint and JEE paper 2. So now JEE paper 1 is for engineering. Mains का part 2, JEE paper 2 is for BH. India में there are many colleges they are taking JEE paper 2 का score. Okay. For example, NATA in Maharashtra we have 75 colleges almost, and across India we have 400 institutes. So in Mumbai, JJ, Kamla Raheja, they are taking NATA score. Mumbai mein we have almost 25-26 colleges for architecture. Okay. And all India 8 NITs are providing architecture, then SPA School of Planning, CEPT, and IIT is also providing BH program, but through JEE paper 1. Okay. So eligibility criteria again 10+2 compulsory with PCM, science background से आपको करना पड़ेगा, and all subject aggregation mark 50% and PCM का जो रहेगा marks that is also minimum 50% you should get. Okay. 10+3 diploma program from recognized technical institute and 10+2 IB program जो बोला जाता है वहाँ से भी you can do. So this is a basic qualification and eligibility is 25 years. So these are the top colleges of India. JJ School of Architecture is taking NATA and JEE paper, दोनों marks रहेंगे. Then SPA, and SAPT are also taking NATA and JEE paper 2 marks. Now some colleges, so IIT का Kharagpur and Roorkee is only taking JEE paper 1 ka marks. Baki all other design architecture schools taking JEE paper 2 and NATA. These are the top India के 20 colleges. These are some Mumbai के architect colleges. रचना है, JJ School of Architecture है, कमला रायजा, LS रायजा, श्रीमती KL Tiwari Architecture College. These are the some top 10 colleges in Mumbai. Thakur College, Wilfred College, Islam, Anjuman Islam College. These are the some Mumbai colleges. So Mumbai mein we have almost, and Pune mein bhi we have colleges. So these are the total architect colleges number. 18 colleges of across India, they are taking JEE score. Mumbai mein 27 colleges based on NATA score. Pune mein 21 colleges with 1,520 seats based on NATA. And Bangalore and Madhya Pradesh mein bhi we have NATA score ka intake. So basically Mumbai mein jisko bhi admission lena hai, NATA is compulsory for them. So we will check paper pattern. As I said, JEE and NATA is similar paper pattern, and दोनों compulsory नहीं है. NATA is compulsory, JEE is optional, but Silica would suggest कि आप JEE देंगे तो you can increase your score. So paper pattern is JEE paper and NATA you can give twice in a year. January JEE का first attempt will be January 2020. 2 आएगा next year, and NATA का आएगा April 2022. So JEE you can give twice at January and April. NATA you can give twice April and May. So JEE will be drawing part, and NATA में भी drawing part है. Aptitude will be 200, NATA में 52.5 mark का aptitude रहेगा. Now JEE has only mathematics of 11-12 standard, but NATA has PCM, physics, chemistry, maths, but there is small part है कि 22.5 means के almost 7.5 marks का per subject, and 15 questions only. Physics के 5 questions, chemistry के 5 questions, and maths. This year they have asked geometry, not PCM, PGM. So they can change their eligibility of percentage or question paper anytime. Okay. So now highest score, मतलब यहाँ पे best out of 2 रहेगा कि JEE का जो आप जनवरी में एग्जाम देंगे and अप्रैल में देंगे, बेस्ट स्कोर रहेगा they will consider. नाटा में भी सिमिलर रहेगा. नाटा में फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट अप्रैल में आएगा एंड सेकेंड इन मे. तो वॉट एवर बेस्ट स्कोर यू विल गेट दैट कंसिडर दैट. Okay. So for example, this is just I'm taking example of how you will get admission in architecture college. NATA में if you get 200 out of 200 you get 150, so that they will cut it down to 50% because आपके जो 12th के स्कोर होने वाले हैं that is 100. So 100 percentages में से if you score 90 तो it will count whole 90 and NATA का 50% हो जाएगा बिकॉज आपको 100 को इक्वलेंट करने के लिए नाटा का ये क्राइटेरिया रखा है कि 100 and 200 शुड बी इक्वलेंट. ओके, सो 50% ऑफ नाटा एंड होल 12% ऑल सब्जेक्ट, नॉट ओनली PCM, ऑल सब्जेक्ट. सो दिस इज ऑल सब्जेक्ट के 90%. दिस इज जस्ट एग्जाम्पल. Now, what help you will get from JEE paper 2? कि आपको JEE paper 2 क्यों देना है? जैसे I said कि JEE paper 2 is not compulsory, but always JEE paper 2 will help you to increase your marks. For example, if you get JEE paper 2 में score high, कि यहाँ पे जो 75 हो रहा है 50% ओके, तो JEE का स्कोर आपका 80% होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली ये 165 में आपका जो एडिशनल स्कोर ऐड हो जाएगा. If you score JEE paper में average, so that is okay. You can take your admission through only NATA score. So NATA is compulsory and you need to create your domicile certificate from तहसीलदार ऑफिस. विदाउट दैट एडमिशन के लिए डिफिकल्टी होगा. महाराष्ट्र जो है उनके लिए कंपलसरी डोमिसाइल सर्टिफिकेट. तो आर्किटेक्चर कॉलेज, दिस इज द रेंज ऑफ फी स्ट्रक्चर 15,000 to 2 lakhs अकॉर्डिंग टू कॉलेज. जैसे जे स्कूल ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर है, गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज है, तो 15-20,000 फीस फॉर 1 year. दिस इज 1 year फीस. एंड प्राइवेट कॉलेज का रहता है 80,000 to 2 lakhs पर ईयर. एंड तो मुंबई में भी ओनली 2 गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस, जे एंड रचना. वहां पे भी एडेड एंड अनएडेड है सेक्शंस. ओके. So starting range of salary 3 to 5 lakhs per annum. So with Silica 19 years से education and entrance exam coaching preparation में है. So this is our course structure. Foundation module, advanced module. So in foundation module we teach so many drawing techniques, imagination, because when you want to become designer, so you should have creative aptitude. So first foundation module में we will prepare you for creative aptitude. Then advanced module. Advanced module will be in 2 parts. One part is we will prepare you for PCM, Nataka PCM, and Nataka drawing paper. So every faculty will be also architect. And mock test module, we will take your proper syllabus ka mock test and everything. And then final module. Okay. So final module mein revision will be there, because every entrance Nata or J Nata ka rahega after your board exam. Okay. सो सिलिका का जो ये साल का रिजल्ट है 2021 का ट्रिमेंडस रिजल्ट. जेई पेपर 2 का फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट, जस्ट सेकंड अटेम्प्ट तो अभी तक आया नहीं है. जीनम केनिया स्कोर 99.99% है. ही शुड फर्स्ट रैंक इन महाराष्ट्र एंड ऑल इंडिया सेकंड रैंक. एंड जेई पेपर 2 में अगेन 60% स्टूडेंट्स आर क्वालिफाइड, out of which 16 students scored 99+%. नाटा का जस्ट फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट हुआ है अप्रैल में, तो 85% स्टूडेंट्स क्वालिफाइड इन नाटा फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट. ओके. सो दिस इज द 2020 का रिजल्ट. 790 स्टूडेंट क्लियर्ड एंड जेई पेपर 2 426 स्टूडेंट्स आर क्लियर्ड. So you have any query, you can ask on this WhatsApp number or chat box.
Right, ma'am. That was wonderful. I suppose there will be a lot of queries coming to you now. Once you have told them about all your mm, class and the aspects that they teach. I think there is some sort of a form also which students can fill in. So I think that is shared with me, which I will share it with the students and they can get back to you on this.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So I thank you very much for your time and just giving an enlightenment to our students for this.
Sure.
Right, ma'am? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you, everyone. We can conclude the meet now. And thank you for your for being here and a fabulous